They say Lake Geneva holds more than reflections. If you look deep enough, beneath the ripples and moonlight, you can see the roofs of a town that no longer exists. The locals call it Selden, the village that sinned and sank. In the early 1700s, Selden was a thriving trade town on the lake's northern shore. Its people were proud, too proud perhaps. The merchants grew rich from travelers, and the church bells rang not for worship, but for profit. The legend says their priest warned them, "The water sees everything you hide." But they only laughed. They said even God would not climb that far into the mountains. One evening, fishermen claimed the lake turned black. Not dark, black. No reflection, no moonlight, as if the water itself had died. At dawn, the priest found fish floating near the dock, hundreds of them, eyes open, bellies pale. He called it a warning. The villagers called it nonsense. They held a feast that night anyway, and the priest, trembling, rang the church bell only once. What happened next became the story parents told their children. When the storm rolled in, the villagers didn't pray, they danced. They drank wine in the streets as thunder cracked above. They mocked the priest, saying, "If the heavens are angry, let them drown our laughter." The wind howled, the bell tower swayed, and then the earth itself gave way. Witnesses on the far side of the lake said they saw it. The mountain above Selden split open like a wound. The entire hillside slid downward in silence, then struck the lake with a sound like thunder breaking in half. When morning came, the shoreline was gone. So was the town. Where the streets had been, there was only water. And at the center, one air bubble rose. The last breath of Selden. For decades, fishermen avoided that part of the lake. They said their nets caught strange things, door hinges, coins, bones that were too small to be animal. But sometimes when the water was calm, you could look down and see the town again. Streets, rooftops, even the church steeple piercing upward through the dark. And at night, if the moonlight hit just right, you could see the cross at its top, glowing faintly, like a candle under glass. In 1967, a team of divers claimed to locate Selden's ruins. They descended 30 meters beneath the surface and found what looked like cobblestone streets, and the bell half buried in silt. One diver never surfaced. The others said his line went slack, as if something pulled him down. When they reviewed his footage, the last thing the camera showed was a faint shape, a spire tilting upward, and dozens of pale faces floating beside it. Even now, locals say the lake remembers. When storms roll in, you can hear faint bells ringing beneath the waves. Not in the air, below you. And if you lean too close to the surface, sometimes your reflection blinks back a half-second late. An old monastery in Lausanne keeps a single surviving document, a confession written by the priest of Selden, dated the night before the flood. It ends with this line: "When faith is forgotten, the water will rise to remind us who we are." The monks sealed the letter and never spoke of it again. But they still refuse to ring the church bells on stormy nights. They say if you row across Lake Geneva under a full moon, you might hear bells rising from the deep and see faint rooftops shimmering below. An entire town frozen in prayer beneath the surface. But if you look long enough, the reflections begin to move. Not with the water, but with you.